Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about my battery saws. I get quite a few questions about battery saws. What battery saws should I use? What should I buy? What do you use? Does steel make a dime tip bar? Or can I put them on a battery saw? There's always all kinds of questions. And somebody recently asked a few more. And so I said, you know what? I think it'd be easier to just put together a video about the battery saws I have, how they're set up, and how I use them and the options and things like that. So if you're interested in the steel battery saws and what I use for carving, then this is the video for you. Be sure to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, hit that bell, hit all. Don't go anywhere because we're going to get into it right now. Like I said, we're going to talk about my steel battery saws. Now I run steel. I say steel, everybody says I gotta say still. Listen, relax, all right? Still. But these are the saws that I run. So the first one that I got was the MSA 160. Now, let's back it up. I have to pull out my phone here and look at the numbers because I don't have these other saws. But I want to bring something up. I see everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but I see some people wanting to get battery saws. They ask me, what should I start with? I give a suggestion for the ones that I started, and they go and end up purchasing another line of steel saws. Now that's fine, but just know that there's two different batteries, okay? Now I gotta look at my phone because I don't have these, all right? But there's an MSA 120 CB and an MSA 140 CB. Now those two saws do not run the same battery as the other steel battery saws, okay? Those two saws, hold on, I'm getting there. Give me a second here, all right? Those two saws run, sorry guys, I should have studied, right? The AK, steel AK series, all right? So it's a different battery. These are the AP battery saws, all right? The 160, the 200, the 220. There's also a top handle saw in there somewhere. They run the AP batteries. And the AP S battery as well for a little bit longer life. Now, the AKs are a smaller saw and a smaller battery. I haven't really looked into them a lot, but I know that they won't interchange with these. Okay, so you have smaller power. Now, those 120 and 140 steel saws that run on battery, run on the AK series battery, they have quarter pitch chain. Now, because they run quarter pitch chain, that means they have a quarter pitch sprocket in here, okay? So what does that mean for you? Well, what that means for you is if you really wanted a battery powered detail saw, you could put, this one does not want to come apart, you could put a dime tip bar on that, all right, with quarter pitch chain. Quarter pitch chain goes on a dime tip bar so it can make it around the end because there's no sprocket down here, okay? So that saw already has the sprocket you need, those two. The only problem is if you want to get bigger battery saws, you now have to jump to the AP series, which means your AK batteries can only go for the 120 or 140. Now you have to start buying AP batteries for these other saws. Or there's a solution. You start with an MSA 160. Okay, that's what this is right here, the MSA 160. Now the 160 comes with quarter pitch Pico chain. I don't know, I think a 12-inch bar, 10-12-inch bar on it, okay? Stock. That bar is like this bar. It has a sprocket on the nose, all right? A small bar kind of like this. 43 gauge quarter pitch chain. Quarter pitch chain, all right? So that means you guys don't have to swap out that sprocket, okay? There's no sprocket swapping. And I haven't seen sprockets for these to be swapped out yet. Could they be? Yeah, you'd have to talk to a steel dealer, see what they have to say. But if you buy the saws for the job, kind of like these are sort of already set up, then you don't have to worry about swapping anything out. You understand where I'm going? So the thing was like, where should I start? In my opinion, you should start with the saws that run the AP series battery. That's this battery, okay? AP series. Now the 160 now suggests running the AP 200. When I got this, The available battery for it in the kit and the setup was an AP 160 battery. Okay, 160 battery. I don't find these in the store anymore. All I see are 300s on the shelf, so all I buy are AP 300s. This is just one that I happen to have. The AP 300 will give you a little more torque in the saw, a little more power, and it lasts longer. So if you can get if you get the MSA 160, the 200 is recommended. The 300 will probably give you a little more kick in the saw though. It's going to last a little longer. Now, you can put the dime tip bar on this. It's as simple as removing this cover, okay, and putting your dime tip bar on and putting that chain on. Now, keep in mind, you have to get a carving chain when you order the bar, right? So you go in, you buy your saw, you're like, yay, you go home, you do some carving, you say, all right, I want a dime tip bar for that saw. Now, keep in mind, a dime tip bar is only for detail work. We should not be blocking out carvings with that. If we're going to be blocking, we should be using a bar that has a sprocket in the nose. It spins. This is a solid nose in the dime tip. Nothing in there spins, okay? It's just metal to metal. It can burn out faster. Things to keep in mind. I'm talking a lot because I got a lot that I want to go over in a short period of time, so this video isn't super long. So, steel sells dime tip bars, okay? In this case, with these saws, I like to keep the smallest chains on them that I can. So I'd like running that 43 gauge Pico chain, all right? Bracelet chain, as a lot of people say. I haven't had them break or snap. I have them work fine for me. I don't hork on it and wrench it around and twist it and treat it like crap. I treat it like it is a bracelet chain and use it for what it's for, you know, making small light cuts, doing detail refined work, things like that. So what I ended up getting was a dime tip bar that runs 43 gauge quarter pitch Pico chain for the dime tip bar. Okay, so you can do that whole setup on the 160. That's what I've got. That's what I use for detail work as far as battery saws go. Now, after that, we jump over to the 200. Quite a bit more power. I believe this comes with a 12 to a 14 inch bar. We're still running quarter pitch Pico chain. I believe it's quarter. Let me double check. If you guys aren't sure, okay, if you're looking at a saw and it's on the shelf and you're like, yeah, but what size chain does that run? I don't have a clue. You look on the bar. This one's upside down, so it's on the wrong side. Normally it would be on this side, right? So it says what the saw is. And when you buy it new, the bar is on the correct way, and so your numbers will be right here. I flip my bar every couple times I sharpen, so I get the same wear on top and on bottom, right? So every 2 or 3 times I sharpen the saw, I flip my bar over the other way. I flip it back. It helps it wear evenly and last a little bit longer. So anyway, we're looking down here at these numbers. All right, this is quarter pitch, 1/4P. So I know this is quarter pitch, right? You know when you look at it at the store. Quarter pitch chain means it has a quarter pitch sprocket in here, okay? What does that mean? We could put a dime tip bar on the MS200, the MSA 200. So you can put a dime tip bar on this, right? Again, dime tip bar, you're only doing detail work. I am running the 43 gauge chain on here, and this is, I want to say, let's see here, I can't remember. Between running saws all the time, this is just a 12-inch bar, all right? So this is only a 12-inch. The dime tip bar is only a 12-inch. Steel only makes 12-inch bars, either in 43 gauge or I believe in 50 gauge chain. So just keep that in mind. Now, what do I do with this saw? Light blocking for smaller carvings, all right, and detail work. So here's the nose of it compared to the nose of the dime tip bar, all right? Jump it up. It's about the size of a $50, maybe a little less. 50-cent piece, all right? Now, there's a reason I'm going through these saws, and that's because they all take the AP series battery. So I can have a detailed dime tip bar, a bar where I can do some furring and some light blocking and detail work. And now I can step it up to a bigger saw. All three run the same battery, okay? And I can step that up to the 220. Now this is the newer model for Steel. This is their biggest battery saw at the moment. The Steel MSA 220C. Getting tongue-tied, all right? Now with this saw, I've stepped up the batteries I've been using. Okay, so in these two saws, I run the AP300. That's it, AP300. Now the 220, I run the AP300S. These batteries will all work in each other. The 300S will work in any of those, and these AP300s will work in this saw, okay? But the S kind of gives it a little more torque, and it runs just a little bit longer. You know, I really haven't done a test, though, to give an exact. Maybe that's something I'll work on, doing a test to see how much longer time this will run compared to this, or torque, or, you know, maybe we'll do that in the future. But for now, this is where we're at. All right, so the MSA 220C. All right, we got the AP300S. Now, stock, this came with, I got to look at my phone here. This came with a 16-inch bar running 63 PS3 5.5 chain. All right, and that was a little bit bigger than what I would like to run. Okay, now it'll eat. It will eat. This saw's got quite a bit more power than the other two. Even though you go from a 200 to a 220, it's not as much power as the MS250 gas saw, but it's just below it, you know. This saw's got quite a bit of power for blocking. Now, I did swap out the bar and chain, okay? I went and swapped it out, and I put a 14-inch bar running 43 gauge Pico chain. You may say, why? Why would you do that? Well, I wanted to create less drag. I wanted to be able to make thinner cuts for smaller carvings, because these saws tend to be for smaller carvings and detail work for me. So I want to make the smallest cuts possible. And in my mind, the only way to do that is by running the smaller chain instead of the very large or a little bit bigger gauge, okay? Yeah, so these are the saws I run as battery saws. Oops, sorry about that, guys. These are the saws I run as battery saws, okay? Going the wrong way. MSA 220, all right, with a 14-inch bar, 43 gauge chain. We're looking at the MSA 200 running a 12-inch bar, 43 gauge chain, and the MSA 160 running a 12-inch dime tip bar, 43 gauge chain as well. They all take the AP300L lithium ion batteries or AP300S battery. Now, run times vary between the saws because bigger saw, middle saw, smaller saw. So I get a little more run time out of the small saw, but I'm not using it as much as the big saw, right? So we're blocking, we're on it a lot more, really cutting a lot more. So we run these batteries down quicker than the detail saw. What do I mean? I can block out a bear or two, little bears, with, say, this saw, and then I could detail, you know, maybe 2 or 3 bears, all the fur and everything, with this saw using that 300 battery, okay? Now, if you get into these and you start with just one saw, the 200 would probably be a good saw to start with. Why? Because it still runs quarter pitch chain, which means we have that quarter pitch sprocket, okay? So you could order up a dime tip bar for it and swap them back and forth if you wanted. So do your blocking with your bar, do up a bunch of bears, take your stock bar and chain off and put your dime tip bar and finish your carvings. So that is an option, okay? These do get pricey, all right? These battery saws are pricey, and batteries. If you order a saw, get a battery and get a charger. You can get the 300 AL or the 500. 500 is a quicker charge. If you can spend the money, spend it. But it's a good idea to have at least one extra battery in the rotation of batteries. Okay, so I have one spare total. I'm working on getting a couple more. I would like one spare battery for each saw and a total of 2 chargers. Right now I have one charger, the AL charger, and I have one extra 300 battery. So that's what I'm running. Okay, guys? If you guys have any other questions, please ask below. I will try to answer them the best that I can. I hope this video is helpful for all those battery saw questions for those of you starting to carve. I mean, I think they are a great option for those of you starting out in town and you can't make a lot of noise. I mean, you guys have seen, if you've been following my channel, I live in town and carve. Yeah, I get away with running gas saws often, but upgrading my line to battery saws so I can keep that noise down. So that's it. That's what I got. This is what I run. I really hope this can help you guys out. Maybe help you decide what you want to use or what to choose. But I really do recommend the AP line. If you don't have the cash for that right now, but you're saving up for a battery saw, continue to save. Don't start with something that's not going to help you grow in your art form. I also believe, start with what you got and do what you can. But at the same time, don't hang yourself. Okay? You can only go so far with certain saws. In my opinion, I think if steel, strictly in my opinion, could be 100% wrong. Who knows? But in my opinion, if steel were to make a bigger battery saw, it's going to run these AP batteries. That's what I think. I would like to add one other thing to these. These saws do not have any anti-vibration. You get your gas saws, they've got rubber grommets, they've got springs in here and things, right? These are very, very rigid on your elbows, in your arms, in your body, okay? So, yeah, you might be running battery saws, but they are a lot more rough than a gas saw, all right? If you buy the right gas saw, if you buy like a Farm Boss or a Pro Saw, even some of the Home Series saws aren't bad, but the more money you spend, better saws you get, the less it beats you up, okay? For gas. As far as battery goes, these are the better battery saws. They're going to beat you up the same because there is no anti-vibration that I'm seeing in these really at all. I mean, maybe they have some in there a little bit, but when I'm cutting, I feel the cut, it's just, it's all there. You can feel it in your hands, and it's just, it's pretty rough. It's pretty rough, but chainsaw carving, it is what it is, right? Doing something you love and creating art. So anyway, this is it, guys. These are the three main battery saws that I'm running. Actually, the only three, other than that little mini trimmer I got, I'm goofing around with, but this would be the lineup, I'd start with the 200. This could be a dedicated 160 dedicated detail, 200 intermediate detail, and the 220 blocking sort of things. So hope this will help. Hope this will alleviate any other questions. And if not, ask. All right, guys, I will do my best to answer. And honestly, you guys can always go to Stihl.com and look these saws up. I am not sponsored at all by Stihl. I like the product. I really do. If somebody brought over a different brand for me to try out, I would totally try it. And I give an honest opinion, because somebody could be making something way better than these. And I'm always open to that. But this is what I've got, this is what I run, and this is just my opinion. And I hope it will help you in your decision making of getting a saw for chainsaw carving as far as these battery saws go. So hope you guys have an awesome day. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you guys haven't already. Check out some videos popping up. Oh yeah, I'll have social media links down below. Check those out, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.